Okay, in this video I'm going to talk about Monica. She's in another video about basically, it's called, it's basically about bad people, okay. And she was one of them who had called, and this is in Victorson County, Texas. She had called when there was a live stream she was watching, and the young woman, very young woman, that was doing the live stream, there was a knock on her door. Somebody was banging on the door, yelling at her. They could hear it. You know, the young woman had gotten up to go check to see who it was. And then all of a sudden there was silence, and the live stream just kept going. Okay? And nobody there. And anyway, she was one of the people that was on the live stream who called the police to let them know what was going on. Something had happened. She was just one of several. There were people who were watching it and, reported it. Well, after she called the police to tell them about it, the young woman's name was Hannah. Okay, and she could, once Monica called the enforcement, the police, and then the enforcement, another thing, but she just couldn't sleep. So she was wondering, why did she feel so invested in this? She couldn't figure out, she was just watching something because she was hoping to get a certain, well, the young woman was displaying part of her house that was built by a construction crew that she liked. The guy liked their work, and Monica was looking to do some reconstruction on her house. So she was watching it for that purpose, to see what kind of work this guy Connor does, and that's when all that happened. Now she couldn't figure out, why did she feel so invested in what happened to Hannah, and more than just like an empath would feel, or just somebody watching would feel. She felt really deep about it, and by the morning she just gave up trying to sleep. Okay, and she just gave up trying to sleep. In the morning she called what is called Jim's enforcement. They just call it the enforcement. And these are people who, it's huge. It's a business Jim started many years ago. And they have all kinds of enforcement, like, that's what they call it, is like investigators. Anything from like investigators, bodyguards, to lawyers, to you name it, okay? Yeah, bouncers even. Personal, like I said. If somebody needs any of these things, they can go through them, and especially if they are they're from the county originally, or they're part of this group called the original group members, the computer people, and then their children, they call themselves the 2.0s, and their children call themselves iGen. So real cute, kind of. But anyway, she knew that that she could call the enforcement, and she did, and told them about what had happened. And she just thought, she remembered that she had that as a perk, you could basically say. She never had any reason to use it before, but for being one of these. Okay, now they also they have these secured lines that they can call, and that is a secured line, and she used that and to reach the enforcement, and she was very surprised at how fast she just told the first person to answer a little about the story, and then next thing she knows, she was quickly connected to Jim himself. Okay, and it was quite surprising to her, and she started to think there was a lot more. Of course, you would think there's a lot more to this than meets the eye if they were connecting her directly to Jim. Okay, so then Jim asked her a lot of questions and took down a lot of information. The police were working on it, but the police aren't part of Jim's enforcement. Some of them were trained by him, but police were the police. And he took down a lot of the, information, and said that he would have to, get somebody to go, get some people to work on it. In other words, and he was going to do it right away. Okay, right away. They weren't going to waste time. Well, Jim also got in touch with the Sheriff Mitch of the county, and yeah, they had figured out that something just wasn't right. Some people were just coming up missing, and they had for years, many years. But, you know, just people were coming up missing here and there. And so something was going on. Now, yeah, you know, people had been just disappearing. And, well, there was this woman who suddenly reappeared, okay? Just suddenly. You know, she's 62 years old, woman, and her name is Ruth. And she basically had a concussion, and so much was done very quickly with the Doc Rick. They called him Doc Rick, and his sister, who's also a Dr. Pam. And so much was really quickly in action, and one of them was that they did so much investigation and stuff, and they found out that Monica was Ruth's niece. And Monica had no idea that she had an Aunt Ruth. Well, there was a little bit of question from when she was really, really young, but they called her the elders, where she was in Bella, Texas, that lived near there. They called her, you know, the elders of the county. They called her, and they said that she needs to come. That her Aunt Ruth was found in a bad situation, and they needed Monica to go see her at Dr. Rick's medical practice. Okay, and it was just so stunning all around that she has an aunt, but there were some things that, yeah, you know, it was like a very vague memory, and so she did. She went there, but the way she went there was quite odd. They had the Sheriff Mitch, had actually sent one of his deputies out to get Monica, and to, you know, drive her to Doc Rick's. You know, once that they learned, she didn't know that her aunt had been there. Her aunt had been there for days at that point, and because she didn't even remember her. Like I said, there's more to that story. So the deputy came, picked her up, and, you know, brought her to there. And it was, you know, it was the sheriff, as it turned out. They said they were going to send out a deputy, but they really sent out the sheriff actually went and got her. So, and then she started remembering more that the last time she had heard about her Aunt Ruth was, you know, it depends on where you live if you call it aunt or aunt, but it seems like it, doesn't it? But Ruth was, she had vague memories that it was when she was really young that she last heard anything about Ruth. Okay, and even her name mentioned. So you know, as a young child, she just, if it's not reinforced, as, you know, some would say, she just kind of set that way on the back burner. Okay. And she didn't really remember her much, as it was, because she was so young. And she had heard, you know, her parents arguing way back then when she was a young child, that about her, you know, about Ruth, and her mother told her dad to never speak of her again, and he never did. They never did. So that was, you know, way long before. Okay, to go a little bit back. Now, when Monica her family was very odd. They were very secretive, and about a lot of things. And when she was 18, when Monica was 18, she was told, she's 40 now, but she was told that her older sister had died giving birth, as did the infant child, which was a girl. And never to be heard, you know, I mean, never to be heard, but that was it. It was just that she had died. And that's all they would talk about. They just didn't want to say much about anything. But that's what they told her, and she was very sad. Okay. Her, but that was when she was 18. Okay. And she really didn't, at this point, you know, both of her parents are gone. Her parents had her when they, you know, they were older and later in life. And, so they were gone, and that was that. So there was never a chance for her ever to hear any more, you know, about her history. They never talked about their siblings, their, you know, if they had any. Nothing. It was very secretive. So she was just, you know, at 18, she just learned about her sister, and then, and before she was 40, she no longer had parents, so she just felt very alone in the world. Okay. So as you can imagine, I mean, she thought for, you know, all this time that she was totally alone in the world, didn't have anybody left, and then she finds out about this, about Ruth. Okay, you can imagine what the trip was like over there, right? to see Ruth, you know, who, you know, she has family, but she barely remembers anything. She doesn't even remember what she looked like. Okay, so I mean, and she trusts the, you know, went through the enforcement, the sheriff, the elders, and all this that she, of course, trusted. These are very honest people. The county, most of it is very wealthy, and like it makes a difference with trust, but they're very trustworthy people. They're very nice people, except those mainly from the town they call the Outlaws. Okay, and there's some in the other parts, but overall they're really good, decent people, and they have you know, they have great bonds. So now this is just kind of an intro to this. There's more, and this is a fictional story. Any story on this channel that's Fichterston County and then some, unless otherwise mentioned, is totally fictional. And standard disclaimers apply. You can read them in the description box below this video. That's some of them. And unless there's some glitch and it's gone. But these are copyrighted to me, the stories. I am the writer, author of them, and the creator on this channel. So, you know, it's a standard thing. Any person living and or not living, if any resemblance to any of them is purely coincidental, and so forth, so forth, so on and so forth. And you know, Texas really exists, but Fichterston County, Texas, Fichterston County does not. Any town inside of it, people inside of it, they're all fictional. Come out of my mind. So, anyway, that's enough for this part, but there will be more to the story with Monica. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.